Hey everybody, it's me, Undead Viking. I'm here to review another game for you. The game I am going to take a look at today is called Heroes Wanted from Action Phase Games. As little as, I don't know, a few years ago, I remember talking with a few of my other reviewer cronies, and we were talking about how, like, there really wasn't any, like, actual board game superhero games. Like Sentinels in the Multiverse was out as a card game. It's excellent co-op game. Marvel Legendary was kind of like based on the whole Thunderstone deck building premise, but it was a good game and I enjoyed it. And then there's that DC deck builder that I don't think is all that great, but it has its following. And but there wasn't really a board game that was like moving a little dude around and fighting stuff or whatever. And of course, I did a review of Sentinel Tactics a while back, and that's now finally coming out. And that's like an actual board game. But back then, it was like there was like a Marvel Superheroes one that was put out by FFG that was kind of mediocre at best. And there just wasn't anything out there, and I was just, it really bugged me, because I'm like I'm a comic book nerd, I'm a gamer nerd, I'm a geek all across lots of different spectrums, and it just bothered me there really wasn't. And now it seems like finally now we're getting board games with superhero themes, which I'm really excited about. And so when the designer contacted me and asked me if I'd be willing to take a look at this game, I said, yeah, sure. And so now I've had a chance to take a look at it, and I played it, and I've enjoyed it quite a bit, actually. Because of, well, for lots of different reasons, which I'll go into in my conclusion. But basically what the game is the premise is that you are a fledgling superhero. If you will, like, like the Kick-Ass movies, kind of the same thing, but not really, because, like, superheroes are, like, with superpowers actually kind of exist. But there is, like, the resident superhero team within your town. And it was announced that they're looking to add a person to their roster. And so you and the other players all go out, and there's a scenario, there's 4 in the game, and you go out and you decide you're going to prove yourself. And you end up, depending on the scenario, like the one I'm going to show you is beating up minions and thugs, and hopefully taking out the main villain as well. You go out, and whoever does the best earns, fame, meaning victory points, and whoever gets the most victory points then will be able to join the Legion of Superheroes or what have you. It kind of reminds me of a couple of things, actually. If you remember the theme-wise, not the game, or the mechanisms of the game, because the mechanisms of the game are actually, like, there's part of it that's really cool, but I'll show you that in just a second. But if you ever played the old RPG Villains and Vigilantes, which was an excellent role-playing game, the very first scenario or that came with the game, you actually were going to, like, once again, like the Avengers Mansion or whatever, and you were, like, applying to become, and then you find out that the superheroes had been kidnapped by the evil people, and so then you actually fight the evil people and you prove yourself, and then you get to theoretically join the supergroup. I can also remember way back in the day, like the Legion of Superheroes, and I'm gonna butcher my memory of this, but there was this really cool comic that was like set in the future, and it was DC, but it was like, and everybody in there, like this legion of superheroes, they all had these powers and abilities, and they were all like kind of like teenagers or whatever. And I remember they held a contest to add somebody to their group, and there's all these different people that tried to join, and of all people, Matter Eater Lad, a guy that could actually eat anything, like won, like and got to be part of the new Legion or whatever, and so it's a fairly common theme actually, you know, like young upstart hero wanting to join, and so I kind of dug that, and as I explain the game to you and I tell you more about it, what I really like is obviously Travis, the guy who designed the game. Is a comic book nerd at heart as well, and he has incorporated a lot of that wonderful mythos of comics, if you will, that and incorporated in the game. So as you play it, you're not only just you know, playing a game that is engaging and interactive and fun, but you're also lucky enough that you're playing a game that kind of harkens back, if you happen to have a comic book background, it harkens back to that, and you can actually draw your experiences of that and apply them to the game as you play. So let me show you how to play. I'm not going to show you a full scenario or anything like that. The game is fairly simple. It's card driven. The best part of both the game is your character creation, actually, and I'll show you that part for sure. And then we'll come back here and I'll tell you why exactly I enjoy the game, and we'll go from there. All right, awesome. Here we go. This is Heroes Wanted, and this is the game board that has the first scenario. I found it interesting and pretty cool, actually, that the scenarios actually have, there's two game boards and they're double-sided, and so each scenario actually has its own game board. And as you can tell, this is a newspaper that's supposed to look like, you know, very fitting of the superpowered you know, superhero theme. Just quickly going over everything you see here. This will be the spot where the villain will be once we create him. The rules governing the villain phase listed there. How you score points as far as that is concerned. There's spots on the board that tell you where to put things. The little gray guys are the underlings. The kind of tan guys are the henchmen. And then this big guy right there, that's the evil villain that we'll be creating very quickly. Here is the player board. Once we create our hero, there'll be the two cards there that tell what the hero does. As the hero achieves things, we'll place them down here. That's mostly when you knock out different underlings and minions, whenever you'll put them down there and things like that. These are injury markers that as you take injuries, you place them on there. Injuries are bad because they don't really, when you take an injury, you actually lose points. Up there is a crossword puzzle that is actually the point scoring. It starts at 0, you can actually go negative, and then whoever obviously scores the most points gets the most fame and becomes part of the superhero group of Zeta City. But anyway, we're getting a little beyond ourselves right now. So basically, the cool thing about the game is that at the start of the game, each player, and I've set this up to be a 3-player game. The only thing of interest to that right at this moment with 3 players is that the villain gets hit points equal to 15 times the number of players. So he has 45 hit points there, and I've put them out there. So anyway, each person will get 3 Hero A cards and 3 Hero B cards. And they will create a hero of those. So the Hero A cards will have a name and a little picture. It'll tell you what their superpower is. It's an attack, a defense, and a move. And what it does, like here's move 1, deal 5 damage to a character within range of 1. And I should mention right off the bat, this is not a co-op game. This is you against everybody else game. And you will be fighting the other superheroes and trying to knock them out, because that's actually worth fame as well. And then like, this happens to be a vigilante character, so they'll actually use the die. So, and then when you roll the die, 1 to 3, you become the first hero, meaning you get to go first next round. And then 4 to 6, you retrieve an action. This is a game where you play cards and you use them up. This allows you to take cards back. And then like his little catchphrase, I assure you, chivalry is alive and punching. Ha 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 ha. And so what else we got? We have Volcano, and this means he's a like a magical or sorceress hero. And there's the 4 things over there. The green is mutant, and the yellow over there is a tech or robot, if you will. So here's a magma barf attack. Deal 5 damage to a character within range 1. This action deals +1 damage and has +1 range for each injury you have. So as he gets hurt, he does more damage. And then we have a mutant. And mutants are cool because they have 2 powers. Ion Bubble, attack, defense, KO a minion with your... each person gets a little token that they have. Deal 5 damage to a hero and villain within range 1. Attach your token to a minion. That minion cannot be KO'd by other heroes as long as your token is attached. So, there you go. Behold my subatomic might. But anyway, I like the knight, so we're going to take him. So we'll take that one. And let's see what we got for the bottom parts of our guy. See, so he can be a tiger knight. And this gives you a little part. If you reveal his hero, gain an additional strike action. Your strike actions deal +1 damage. That's an extra card that you have. That's pretty good. Super. After you reveal this hero, gain additional superpower action. You lose 6 fame at the end of the game. Well, I can tear a zebra in half without breaking a sweat, yet no one seems to want my autograph. That's actually really good as well. And then beef. When defending your knights, your actions have +2 stamina. For every when you defend, you're using cards, and the stamina of the card determines how much damage they can withstand. The streets are my gym. So, of all these, you know what? I'll take the Super Knight. So you have that like so. It's like, yeah, actually, you know what? I want to be a beefy knight. Actually, I like the ability to take less damage, so we can do that. So okay, beefy knight. So you take that and you put that on, and everybody else will do that, and you reveal that all at the same time. You say, I'm a beef knight, and then you say what your powers are and abilities, and everybody can kind of laugh at you or whatever. And then each person gets a quirk. Now quirks are just something weird and goofy that you get. So here, and this is, after another hero activates their superpower, you must clap and give them a compliment. Now, obviously this is like just kind of, yes, you actually have to do that while you play the game. And notice that there is a 10, 8, 6, 4, 3, 2, or if you don't do it, you lose points. So right now you're getting 10 points if you do that every single time that happens. Like somebody activates superpower, you clap. If you miss it for some reason, like you're not paying attention, you look at your phone, you lose 2 points. Is it a little weird and goofy? Yes, but this game is kind of a little weird and goofy, so yeah, you can deal with it. So since he is a vigilante, we will take a vigilante card, and then you'll notice that there's these spots for put the discs. And as you achieve headlines, and some of these are drawn randomly, which I did for the game, you will put your discs up there once you do them, and you notice that like 3, 2, 1, 1, 1. So like the faster you do them, the better. But as you remove the discs from this card, you'll gain the abilities that they have. So gain retaliate, that's a power, and then you see deal 4 damage to a hero or minion within range 1. So you can see that as you achieve headlines, you actually get to do more stuff. So we'll go ahead and put that on there, and then we'll put our discs on it like so. Now the quirks are an optional part of the game. It even says that in the rules. If you don't want to play with them, you don't have to. I play with them because I think they're fun. So there you go. And because he is a vigilante, they use the die, so I'll keep the die like so. And now everybody else will pick their hero. They introduce your hero, you say your tagline, and now you have to create your villain. And so this isn't a situation where you get to pick one at random, like one of 3. So I'm just going to grab 2 cards from villain A and villain B here. Let me just grab this, like so. And so our villain is going to be Boss Hyena. So heroes gain 1 additional fame after they KO a henchman. That's pretty nice, actually. Take out the trash, fellas. And the first hero reveals a random action. Deal damage to each hero equals to the stamina of the revealed action. So what that is that when the villain goes to, activates, that's what will happen. So Boss Hyena, the first hero reveals a random action. deal damage to each hero equal to the stamina of the revealed action. Well, that kind of stinks. That'll be tough, possibly. So we'll just go ahead and put that on there like so. So the rest of the game is pretty simple. You place your heroes, and in this particular scenario, you have to place them in one of these spots. And the scenario is actually littering, loitering, and jaywalking. What's going to happen is the villain, as he proceeds, is going to move from the 0 to the 1 to the 2, and move around the street. And as they move, they're going to drop trash tokens. Now, for whatever reason, because we're fledgling heroes, we want to pick up the trash, we want to get rid of it. You'll notice that these spots have these little red borders around them. We can't step there. Because we're heroes, we can't jaywalk. But the villain gets to jaywalk because he doesn't care. He doesn't care about the rules. He doesn't care what's going on. So he'll just wander around. And our goal is to knock him out before 15 rounds go by. Because after 15 rounds go by, the villain will escape. Now, we can still win. Technically, one person will have the most points. But if you knock him out, actually, then the game actually ends early if you actually manage to knock him out. So the game is actually really easy. What happens is that whoever is the first player, you determine the first player. You look at the cards. You have the powers. You have the basic powers and your superpower, and eventually, like you can gain the retaliate power if I can get rid of the little tokens up there, and also I get this press card as well, which allows me to boost, and it's an attack thing. After you deal damage, you may play press to deal +1 damage. If press is already spent when you play your superpower, you may re-roll the die once. So remember, like, these work together. So if I've spent this, meaning it's in my discard pile, and I play my superpower, then I'll get to re-roll that die again if I don't like the result. But anyway, so the green player, as the green player, your goal here is you're trying to, you get points for having knocked out underlings and minions, and so you're trying, you can actually move into spaces with other people, so you can actually move right past, but when it comes time for the villains to move, the more villains that are surrounding you, the more damage you'll possibly take. But if you wanted to try to get close to the villain and hit him, you can do damage, and the damage you do to him actually helps your fame as well. So, you just take an action, like, say, you could say charge. Move 1 and deal 4 damage to a character that's in the range 1. As long as you are the first hero, charge has +1 move. So you can actually move 2 then. So if I wanted to, the green hero could actually move up to the hero and attack him, but I don't really want to do that because, well, I'd get bashed to heck and back by the villains that are surrounding him. So you can kind of play it simple and play it easy, and you can just like work on some underlings, work on some minions. The gray guys, they have 4 hit points. The henchmen, they have 5. But remember, because of the special power, if heroes gain an additional fame if you manage to knock out a henchman. So the henchmen are only worth 2, but they're worth 3. So maybe that's something I want to work at doing. So, yeah, I think I'm going to try to do that. So we'll do charge, move 1, and deal 4 damage to a character within range 1. Well, actually, that won't work because I won't do enough damage. So, because they have 5, remember? So what I can do is, well, I'm probably just going to have to go and, because, like, strike is the one, become the first hero, so you first deal 5 damage to a character within range 1. Well, unfortunately, I don't have that ability, but I can put myself in a position where next round I could take out a henchman. So what I'll do is I will do the charge within range 1. Range 0 is where you are, range 1 is obviously right close. So I can move 2. So what I'll do is I'll go like this, move 2, be in the same space as that dude there, and then I can do 4 damage with this card when I play it, and I can knock that guy out. And he's going to be worth a fame at the end of the game. Now, one of the things about this scenario is that if you can actually get a piece of litter as it gets dropped and throw it away in one of these garbage spaces, you can just do that on your turn. You get a fame as well, but that's not going to happen this turn. So I'm not going to play the others, but let's say like they move there and knock that guy out, and he moves here. knocks that guy out or whatever. So there, they've kind of done their thing as well. But now it is the villain's turn. So as we said, the first hero reveals a random action, deal damage to each hero equal to the stamina of that action. So but also it should be noted that like during the villain phase, the things that are near you will actually attack you as well. The first thing we do, however, on the villain phase is we move the threat token, which I wish this was a bigger threat token, but whatever. You move it to the thing. So one the thing is if it's white spot, it doesn't do anything. But yellow, you have to resolve the effect that it tells you here. So first of all, it says here the villain moves to the next sequentially numbered spot. So he's going to move there to the 1. And then it says advanced threat track, resolve the effect. If it's yellow, he's going to litter. So he throws down some garbage on that spot. This boss hyena, you just don't care about keeping this city clean. And so he throws that down. So that's just a marker there that if you can grab it and throw it away, that's going to be worth points. So don't forget that. And now the villain and minions attack. So henchmen do 2 damage to each hero within 1. Underlings do 1 damage to each hero with 1, and the villain does the damage that's listed on his card. So you have a situation there where you have to draw, like I said, a random card, like the first hero. So we're just going to go ahead. We're gonna shuffle these up, and maybe you ask another person to draw a card, and so then they draw one, and 5. Well, that's not so great. So he's gonna do a ton of damage to totally so he does 5 to everyone plus whatever they're surrounded by. So in this case it'd be 2, 4, 5, 10. In this case it'd be 1, 3, 4, 9, and over here same again, 9. So over here with 10, that's a ton. But to defend against that, what you'll do is you'll look at your cards and you'll actually sit there and find a combination that's going to total 10. Now you could do like 4 and 6. You could discard maneuver and strike, and then that would allow you to avoid taking any damage. So that's totaling 10. But then you would lose those cards, you couldn't use them. Now alternatively, what you could do is you could do costume and maneuver, but if you notice, costume is a block action. So since you're using it to block, then you can actually do what it actually says. So like blocking, you get to move 1 or retrieve another basic or special action. So if you did this like that, you'd actually be able to retrieve your charge action, or you can move 1 if you want. But maybe, I don't think we want to move 1 because, we want to actually be close to these henchmen. So next round we can knock one out, but actually, maybe we would want to move to there, perhaps, so we'd be a little out of the way, and so the other one's going to attack on the next turn. But I actually no, I want the charge action because I like to be able to move and then knock out an underling with that action. And so so you discard your cards like so, and that's how you avoid taking the damage. Now the thing about that is that if you actually if you don't have the cards to play, and you have to play a card if you have one. You can't just choose I'm just gonna take the damage. If you have to play, if you don't have the cards, that's when you get actually KO'd, and you have to discard all the cards that you have and put them aside. And so then the next turn, what you have to do is you have to take what's called a rest action. Now you can take a rest action any time when it's your turn. Instead of playing a card, you just say I'm resting, and you just collect all of the cards and put them in there. That's your option. And a lot of times you'll end up doing that basically because of the fact that you're going to need them to defend yourself, or you run out of options because you don't have any cards. Now, I should say, when you have a superpower card, the superpower card actually just does exactly what's on that thing. And mutants actually get a second card, because remember they have that second power. Mutants actually get the second card that says mutant power, and then they get to activate their mutant power as well, and that's just the second part. And then there's one last card the mutants get, the Surge. Resolve in any order. If your mutant power is spent, activate your superpower. If your superpower is spent, activate your mutant power. And so you can actually with this, and it has like it doesn't have any stamina on it, but you have a surge as well that mutants can get. So as these things happen, like I said, you'll move these up here. Like maybe if you threw away a piece of letter, it's worth 3 if you're the first run. And as you do that, you'll open up, as you remove those tokens, you remove those, and you actually gain those extra abilities and what have you. Like Retaliate, that extra power that I was telling you about, that Vigilantes get, is actually a really good power. It's a block power that says deal 4 damage to a character within range 1 that is dealing damage to you. So you could use this to knock out a underling, or you could use it to actually damage, say, the villain. Because the more damage you do to the villain, the more points it's worth. So you'll get to take these hit point tokens over here from the villain, and you'll place them down here under your achievements. And hopefully, all of you combined will eventually be able to knock out the villain. And the person who knocks him out, they actually KOs the villain, gets 3 points for doing that. And if you actually manage to knock out another hero, that's worth 4, actually. The person that actually knocks out the hero knocks out the villain gets 3, but for every 2 damage you dealt to the villain is worth 1. And if you did the most damage, it's worth 3. And then also, if you have the most henchmen knocked out, you get 3, and the most underlings knocked out, you get 3. And then, as I said before, -2 for every injury, so when you get knocked out and you had an injury on there. And you don't just run out 5, you keep losing 2 more each time, if that happens. So, but that's kind of the whole game. I mean, obviously, I'm not showing you each and every turn of the actions and what you're doing, but that's the process. You're moving around, you're basically cleaning up the city, if you will, cleaning up the street of these underlings and henchmen. And this is actually a pretty fun, in my opinion, a pretty fun little scenario, just because you're kind of chasing this guy, and he's the idea of this ridiculous like villain just tossing garbage left and right as he's walking around while you mop the streets with his little thugs, makes for a pretty fun little scenario. So, but okay, well, there you go. I enjoy the game. I think it's fun. I like the card play. I like the card, like the whole, like the resource actions as far as the cards. When do you play them? When do you save them? That sort of thing. Well, let me tell you more about that when I show you in the conclusion, which I'll do right now. Alright, so there we go. That's how you play Heroes Wanted. So, there's a lot more to it than that. Obviously, I showed you that really basic scenario, and I didn't really go into the scenario much. I mean, the scenario actually has you picking up trash, and that's what those tokens were. And it's kind of almost in a way it's very Silver Age, if you know the reference as far as the comic books go. As far as kind of like it isn't a grim and gritty superhero world, if you will, and I actually appreciate that a great deal. I mean, I'm all for the Frank Miller Dark Knight-esque Sin City type of world, and even like pretty much comics now, I mean, are very, very serious and dark. But I mean, I grew up reading comics in like the 80s and the 70s, and back then you didn't have like super serious. I mean, there was a run, and I could talk about comic books forever. I keep bugging Joel Eddy of Drive Through Review. When we do our next podcast, we should just do an entire podcast about comic books, and I think we should. But I mean, they definitely did have that grim, those grim storylines. I mean, the Green Lantern storylines and things like that back in the day were quite serious, and even the Teen Titans had some very serious storylines. But I can remember Spider-Man being like a very light-hearted comic book, and like lots of jokes and funny stuff going on. Power Man, Iron Fist, things like that. They sought to both engage that very basic male power fantasy that comic books represent, but they also tried to make it fun to read and not just all you know, like dirty and anguished superheroes, conflicted emotions kind of thing. So definitely the representation of the game harkens back to that as well. Now, before I go even further into the comic book world type of part of it, let me talk mechanisms, presentation, everything. I love it. I love just the process. It's a game that you can teach to people pretty quickly. Actually, like, figuring out the strategies as far as where I should move and which cards I should play and which cards I should save takes a while to learn. I mean, it takes a while to optimize your actions and optimize your hero. But the actual, like, process of playing the game is not difficult. Play a card, figure out what you're going to do. Play another card, figure out what you're going to do. You know, use those cards to defend yourself. When you run out of cards, you unfortunately can't do anything. Do you rest early? You know, maybe you're waiting to do something later, kind of thing. I love the whole like the cost mechanism, if you will, of having to debate which actions you want to put in reserve or save, and then if you take damage, which one of those cards you're going to use up, and then the process of those choices, and you know, and I enjoy that a great deal with the game. Ultimately, this is a game that tells a story as well. Something that I love. I love games that, like, as I'm playing them, my friends and we begin acting out what's happening on the board and telling the story of our, like, little superhero. And the fact that, like, you're told and you know, to actually, in some of the quirks or whatever are very goofy, you know, like you have to actually say your tagline, if you will, and things like that, you know, adds to that. It kind of, we had a game that somebody had that, they had to use that tagline or whatever. And I was reminded of, I can't remember it now, but there was that card game where you would shoot each other's spaceships, and you actually had to say, like, zap or whatever when you shot each other. So I mean, it's that kind of thing, that premise that you have to buy into it and get into, and I think you can enjoy. As far as, like, the scenarios, you can play them in a row. You can make up your own. You can make it into a campaign. You can play it solo. The game actually works on all those different levels, and it's a heck of a lot of fun. So, on purely that level, if you like tactical, card-driven strategy games, then I think you're going to really like this one. I think you can buy into it. Plus, the whole process of making your hero is probably, like, the coolest thing about the game. I mean, and which, you know, I can see a lot of people saying that's, like, a negative because of the fact that, like, oh, it's like, well, that the coolest thing about the game is, like, right away at the beginning and then it's over. But no, it isn't, because the coolest thing is, well, making those choices, making that hero, and then seeing how you're going to use that hero's powers and abilities to and use those to your best benefit in the scenario that you're going to be playing, in the game that you're going to be playing, which is fun to figure out. I at times would just take two of the weirdest mismatches sometimes, and just, like, a goofy creation just to see how it would work. And, you know, it's kind of, but then again, I kind of stress a lot that I don't really care if I win or lose, and even though my game group argues with me and says I do care, I really don't, you know, and so it's just kind of fun for me to test those things out and try them out, if you will. So, now, getting away from that part of the game and why I dig it, I like the fact that, as I said, Travis, the designer, obviously is a huge comic book fan and a comic book nerd, and it's represented. You see that represented in all facets of the game, and I appreciate the level and the depth that the game goes into. Every little bit, from the fame track being obviously the crossword puzzle, and the fact that that goes right alongside the board that is the front page of the paper and things like that. All of that stuff is put there to kind of immerse you and to make you feel like you're actually playing a superhero game, and like, you can kind of envelop yourself in the theme. And you could have taken this this design and applied it to other things, you know, ninjas, horror, pirates, UFOs, and you could, you know, swap this stuff out. But the fact that you're trying to root the game and ground it in the theme itself adds a lot for me, and you can buy into it, if you will, and which I do 100%. I guess flat out, probably the best thing about this game that I also think is that it's really, really expandable. If I ever got bored of these scenarios, you can come up with your own, like I said. But you know, how tough is it going to be for the designers of the game just to come up with another overlay or another board that you just buy and it has 2 new scenarios on it that you can play? There's already an expansion that adds a bunch more hero cards and villain cards, even more combinations, even more things, even more quirks. So, and the sky's the limit with that. I mean, as long as they keep thinking of ideas, they'll just keep adding them to the game. And so, and as far as that is concerned, I don't see like the character creation part, which I said is probably like the most fun part of the game, ever getting stale. And you know, so I don't, there's no real downside, I guess, to the game. I mean, I guess if you aren't into comic books and you aren't into superheroes, which, you know, fine, I'm sure there's 1 or 2 of you out there, then I guess this game wouldn't appeal to you. But if you, as I said, if you like a card-driven strategic game and you like superhero themes, I think this is something you pretty much have to check out and play at least once, if not just pick up, because I think it's hitting the game stores online rather soon, if not already. And so, yeah, so there you go. That was Heroes Wanted. If you have any questions about the game or concerns, by all means, post those. I'll try to answer those to the best of my ability. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. And until next time, you have yourself one heck of an awesome day. All right, bye-bye.